Hello, hello, hello. Who doesn't want to understand how our brain works? Who doesn't want to know why we act the way we act or why others act the way they act, behave the way they behave? If you want to know a little bit more about this, please stay tuned because in a moment I will be back with Tim Hash to talk about this. See you. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another special marketing live show. Today, we will gonna talk about this amazing book from Tim Ash and some other things that will come to the table. Unleash your primal brain, demystifying how we think and why we act. For me, this is an amazing thing. And also bringing Tim to my show. It's a whole thing, a whole dream I have, because I've seen Tim about 2 years ago talking about e-commerce, and he was so insightful, so good talking about this topic. So it's nice to have him on my show. Hello, everybody who's watching. Please let me know where you are watching the show and which platform, so we can see how many people are coming. And so I think I have Tim on the basement as usual with the cookie and the glass of water. So let me bring it to the screen. Hello, Tim. How are you?
Marco, great to be with you. I'm doing very well. Bom dia or boa tarde. I don't know where people are in the world.
Yeah, we have people from Brazil, yes.
Okay.
Hello, Ronaldo. Well, Tim, as I said, it's a whole dream. I have having you here because I love the first time I saw you talking about e-commerce and all the insights you gave about this. And thank you so much for being here. I will ask you please to introduce yourself, and then we can go deep into these topics we have today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I ran a digital marketing agency called Site Tuners for almost 20 years, and we focused on conversion rate optimizations. You probably know that's what I'm known for. I've written a couple of best-selling books on it. This is a landing page optimization, or if I think this is I forget what this is, the Chinese or the Korean edition. But anyway, it's available in 6 editions, including my native Russian, which was really weird to read a book in Russian by myself that I didn't write. But as we built Site Tuners, we work with companies like Nestle, Facebook, Google, Expedia, and so on, and created $1.2 billion in value through conversion rate optimization. And it's now in the capable hands of my business partners and is growing like crazy. I've started focusing more on keynote speaking. As you know from my badge wall there, I do a little bit of that across 4 continents, and finishing my new book, as you mentioned, which we'll be talking about. And along the way, I also ran a conference series in the US, UK, and Germany called Conversion Conference, and it's continuing on. It's now called Digital Growth Unleashed. So I founded that and ran it for about 10 years as well. So that's just a quick background.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank to all of you who are watching. Tony, hello, Tony, which is ready for popcorns. Hello, Ryan, good to have you. Hello, Arnaldo from Brazil. Look.
From Rio de Janeiro.
St. Louis, Missouri. And also from South Dakota. From Oporto, also Portugal. Good to have you here. So, well, I think the same. Ryan is saying that he loves your wall, and this label you have there, what happens here, will be posted on Facebook.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's why I never take pictures of my kids anymore, because they don't want it posted on Facebook.
Absolutely. So, Tim, let me push a little bit back to those times when I met you, and you were talking about e-commerce. And my audience also, it's an audience which is into marketing, and I think it's good to talk a little bit about e-commerce also, and because it also has this behavioral thing embedded. Which are, in your opinion, based on people's behavior, the most common mistakes people are making, which are hurting sales, conversion rates, and everything on e-commerce sites?
Well, specifically on e-commerce sites, I can just do a quick list. You can argue with me. I also have a whole section on e-commerce best practices in the book and keynote and do workshops on it. But the biggest problem I've seen is banner ads on the homepage. They take up all the room. They trigger you with motion, and you can't avoid looking at motion from a survival perspective. Anything moving quickly in your visual field, you have to pay attention to. So the fact that they're just commercials on your own website, trying to guess at what people want, that they're using motion to capture attention, that's a huge problem. Basically, get rid of your banner ads. Get rid of your banner completely. And people ask me, what do you do instead? Well, whatever's below it, just move it up and you'll have better performance. Another common mistake I see is actually, if you sell a lot of different products, having products on the homepage. The homepage is not the place to sell anything. The homepage is to get you closer to your goal. So people need to understand what's the selection that you have, what's possible for them to buy, and so on. So there should be two things on your homepage. Maybe brands, if you sell a lot of powerful brands and they're more popular than your own website brand. And then permanent navigation for categories. So the goal of the homepage is to get me closer to my goal. It's not to sell me an item that you're guessing at. So my hard rule is never any individual products on the homepage. So those are just a couple of the obvious ones. But
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, there you go. And based on the research you made about this book and the others, which things could be crucial to improve? First, how many time people spend in your website, and to improve conversion rates. So because they are so low, right? Usually.
yeah, usually very low.
Which do you think could be nice tips for people to improve this?
Okay, well, let's talk about merchandising, because I hear a lot of e-commerce companies specifically saying, hey, we're like the Amazon of our space. We're the Amazon of shoes, or we're the Amazon of ties, or I don't know, it doesn't really matter, party supplies. We sell everything. And so they have a lot of very similar products in their product line, because they usually drop ship and they can just put stuff into their database and their feed, and it's all available, if you will. The problem is you're actually overwhelming people with choice. So one of the recommendations that I make is actually think about your merchandising. In each category, you should have a good, better, or best product. And it should be obvious. One is your high-end one is your low-price one, and there's something in the middle. Most of us overwhelm with choice. Most of e-commerce sites I've seen have, okay, here's 16 products, and they're all basically the same. They look the same. They cost about the same. They have similar features and benefits. So one of the things I think you should actually do is take away product choice. I think you should make it really clear. We have some really high-end stuff for anchoring purposes and try to maximize our margins if someone wants to buy that. We have the really low price ones. If that's what you're looking for, don't run away. We have something in your price range. And then we have the mid-range one that's kind of bracketed by those two. So really thin out your merchandising. Think about why you have something. You should only have something if it's missing, if there's a hole in your product lineup, or if it's a high margin product, say that you private label and sell yourself or something like that.
Absolutely. Perfect. Because I don't know if you already read the book from Harry Schwartz, The Paradox of Choice.
Of course. Yeah.
And that's he talks about these two logics, which for me makes make all the sense, which is first, what should I pick? It's amazing because you have so many choices, so many options, so many different colors, sizes, and everything. And then you make the purchase, you buy, and you get terrified and with the question, did I bought the right thing?
Yes, buyer's regret. Yeah, so absolutely. So again, how you package up your choice. If you really do have a complicated type of product that has a lot of different features or possible combinations of features to select it, what you should do is you should develop a wizard to guide people towards the solution. So you ask them a series of simple questions. Wizards aren't anything fancy. It's a series of light box popovers in which you give them mutually exclusive 2 to 4-way choices. And so if I came into your store and you're thinking, and I'm thinking of buying a baby stroller, for example, and you're an expert on that, then you say, oh, hey, welcome. Can I ask you a few questions? Yeah. How old is your kid? Do you have more than one kid that needs to be in the stroller? What activities do you like? Do you jog and go off the roads, or is it only on, paved places, and so on? And you could ask me 3 or 4 simple questions and then say, hey, here's some strollers I recommend. So even a complicated decision can be encoded inside of a wizard. So your own product knowledge is what needs to come out. So if you have complex product selection, create a wizard for that category, and then you'll see your sales skyrocket. I guarantee it. It's a little extra work, but what you're essentially doing is taking your expert knowledge of your product line and making it into something that is digestible for me. Instead of saying, I'm going to throw up all over you, and you pick 2 out of these 500 different products.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me talk about something that it's also important, which are, by the way, objective and subjective reasons to buy something. And these, how do I say it? These product tables, we see, okay, with only characteristics and so few benefits, if they have, because some of them don't have. And
Yes.
the situation is, Tim, usually we buy things because we fall in love with them. There's, even though we tend to say, oh, I'm irrational. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Oh, I'm emotional. No. I don't let emotions rule my world. No, not at all. But the fact
I'm logical. I'm Mr. Spock.
yeah, absolutely. It's not. And we are emotional most of the time.
All of the time. We can talk about that in a minute.
Absolutely. And the point is, okay, I have this e-commerce, and I have to talk to both sides of the brain, because one message should go to your brain to sell you, and the other one should go to your brain to justify to your husband or wife, to your friends, why did you buy that?
Actually, I don't think you need the second part. You just need the emotional part. There's a common misconception, and I talk about it in the book, is the logical part, the conscious part of the mind actually doesn't decide at all. Decisions are based on survival. And from an evolutionary standpoint, if we experience something in the past that got us a better chance of surviving, then we have an affinity for that. We like it. If it's something that we had a bad experience with that decreased our chances of survival, we have an aversion to it and we try to run away from it. So when you have infinitely many choices, as you do in every instant of your life, emotions help you to narrow the choices and to pick one as a course of action. So there have been studies of the brain where people have had various kinds of brain damage. You literally cannot make a decision without emotion being involved. All the conscious mind does is provide you with options. Emotions decide every time.
Absolutely. There's this book about from Damasio, the Portuguese doctor.
Yes, that's
and
right.
He has the mistake of Descartes or something. I don't know the right.
Yeah, Descartes' error. That's right.
Yes,
that's one of the books that I reread for mine. And I hate to say it. I know you have local Portuguese affinity for him, but unfortunately, it's a very dense book, very difficult to understand. It was a lot of work to reread that one, so I don't recommend it. But he is right that the basic premise that Descartes said back in the 1700s, I think, therefore I exist. And we're all his philosophical grandchildren. But that's actually a lie. The rational mind is not in charge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I don't know if you know, maybe you know this. I don't know if he's a psychologist, Dan Gilbert.
Not familiar, no.
Yeah, he's also an amazing guy, and he has these TED Talks. Oh, so you're rational? Yes, I am. And so let me ask you something. Do you cry when you see a movie or you get upset or something? Yes, I do. But you know that's not true.
Yeah, the movie's not real. Yeah. No, that's interesting because stories are a very sneaky way to get in our heads. We think we're individuals. The fact that is that we're very cultural creatures. In fact, we evolved for culture. And that means that we automatically copy and imitate those around us in our cultural tribe. And we're not original. There's this big back door into our brains through storytelling, and we take on the values and information and cultural package about our tribe. So even the notion that you're an original and that you're an individual is actually put into your head in Western society because we tend to think more individually. In fact, most Eastern societies are much closer to how we really work. We're very communal. And we're very influenced by example of others and copy them and so on. And if somebody doesn't follow the rules of our cultural tribe, they're actually punished through a series of escalating consequences. You might be shunned, you might be gossiped about, you might lose economic opportunities or mates, you might be exiled, you might even be killed if you don't follow the rules of your tribe. So there's kind of a automatic enforcement. So we live in a world where we assume it's governed by social rules, even if we don't know them, and that the larger community is going to enforce those rules.
Absolutely. Well, good you talk about this because I'm going to ask you about the biggest fear we have as humans, which is public speaking.
Public speaking? That's not one of my fears.
Yeah, mine neither. But I think most of the surveys people do, it comes in the top three in I think all of them, and this relates to a survival instinct, a survival thing we developed some years ago, I think, which is funny because, as you said, and it's really important. Storytelling and the importance of stories to get the communication flowing and everything. But in the flip side, we see this situation because for you to tell a story, one of the things sometimes you have to do is to talk to a public, and you have this fear.
Yeah, well, the fear is of being judged or of saying something that's going to change our place in the tribe, influence how people perceive us and so on. So that's the real fear. It's not about the public speaking. It's about the social consequences of saying what we're going to say. And especially on a large stage in front of more people. The biggest one I did was actually in Brazil a couple of years ago at RD Summit in front of 12,000 people. If you say something, and I started by saying a Portuguese phrase because I wanted to, something like, hey, I'm so happy to be in Brazil. You have such a warm country or something like that. And I forgot, even though I rehearsed it, that line. And so the fear of messing up in front of 12,000 people was significant. But then I remembered it, and they were kind of on my side after I made the mistake. Yeah.
Brazilian people are very warm. So, well, we have some comments here from here. Tony is saying storytelling is a very unique skill. Can you tell a little bit more about why does storytelling is so sticky?
Yes. So I actually have a whole chapter in the book called Let Me Tell You a Story, and it's about the evolutionary purpose of storytelling. So it's important to understand why it evolved. There are two main reasons for storytelling. The first one is simulation. So there's this. If some of you may be familiar with a movie called Sophie's Choice, had Meryl Streep in it, and she's in a World War II Nazi concentration camp, and basically has to make the choice of which of her children is going to live and which one won't. Now that's, I hope, a choice that none of us have to make, especially if you're a parent. But by watching that movie, you get to experience that without the negative consequences. It's the same reason that we dream during REM sleep. What actually happens is we're simulating negative things. The bear is running after you and is going to kill you, right? And your body is actually paralyzed during REM sleep, so voluntary muscles, so you can't literally run off the cliff or run into a wall while you're sleeping. So basically, it's to simulate things. And storytelling is a way to, for me to share my experience so that you can have the benefit of it without the pain of having to go through the experience yourself. The other function of storytelling is to reinforce cultural values and norms so that you have stronger tribal cohesion. And in this sense, what we've known is that people that are listening to a story, they synchronize with the person telling the story. Literally, the same parts of the brain light up. And this could be even if the story is told in a different language than translated for you, that you get basically the meaning of the story, and it activates the same parts of the brain as the person telling it. But a very important limitation on that is we have to be talking to someone that understands our culture. I'll give you a specific example. So you're next to Spain, so one of the examples I use in the book is about bullfighting. So here's an objective story. The matador stepped out of the way of the charging bull and moved his cape, and then he plunged his sword between the bull's shoulder blades as it passed by and instantly struck it in the heart and killed it. So if you're in Spain and you love the tradition of bullfighting, you're thinking this is about courage, about being a trained professional and a warrior, a man overcoming stronger raw nature. It's a heroic story to you. And then there's people from PETA, people for the ethical treatment of animals, that think, okay, this is animal torture. They hear that same story and they say, hey, these people are paying to watch this sadistic ritual of murdering animals. So you see how the same objective story based on your cultural tribe has a very different meaning.
Absolutely. Well, by the way, we also have this tradition on bullfighting. I'm not. I don't like it. I'm honest. But even though it's a little different, because we don't have the tradition of the matador. Okay, we don't kill the bulls usually.
You just run away from the bulls.
Well, by the way, not really, because we have this number on the bullfight, which is pega de caras, when some guys are facing the bull without anything, just the bare body.
Wow!
And there's one who grabs the head of the bull.
Wow. No, okay.
Yeah.
So
usually, and it's funny because usually it's a tiny man, because to fit between the horns it has to be. But it's called the cabo.
Huh. Wow. I'll have to look into that. That sounds very scary. I would run away.
Yeah, it is. It is. Imagine a 600 kilos.
Yeah, running at you.
Yeah, running at you, black. It's something very scary. Well, let's take another look to the comments. I have given many public speeches, and I still get quite nervous before the speech.
Well, Ryan, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I'd say when you stop getting nervous, that's the time to rethink of what you're doing, because I get nervous before every speech, and that's natural. That's kind of like our body preparing for battle, again, because of the high survival consequences of public speaking. I remember when I was on the fencing team in college, I used to saber fence with swords. And every time we had an important meet with other teams, I would, pardon me, get diarrhea beforehand. That was just my body's way of evacuating everything and getting ready for battle. So you should get nervous before public speaking, but hopefully not get diarrhea.
Well, but you made me think about a nice question. Let me think, Tony, emotional buy-in. Perfect. Yes, it is. Yes, you just can't say what you want to think of your audience. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's it. So that as marketers, I think the very first place we need to start is by figuring out a very narrow niche. I've also heard, we can sell our stuff to everyone. Really? All 8 billion people on the planet are your customers? I don't believe it. It's actually, there's a lot of value in focus. So you have to understand who you're trying to sell to and the cultural tribe. And then spend time with them to understand their values. And only then can you figure out the messaging and what kinds of stories to tell them that reinforce those values and lock in their allegiance to you and make them more loyal to you. So that's the order. Pick an audience, understand the audience, and then craft your messages. That's the only way to be effective.
Absolutely. Well, Tony reinforced the idea here. Values, norms are spot on. And he says that he ran away from the bull.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I'll do the same. Tim, let me ask you this, because one of the things, I think it's because of the amygdala, which is, I think we are the only animal which has the amygdala.
Nope. Many animals have the amygdala.
Yeah, but I think this feature, we see the feature. We perspective the future, not the feature. Okay? So, when we are buying something, one of the things, for instance, or even before, I want to buy this car, and I see myself driving the car through the highway, through this road close to the beach, and with sunglasses and everything. How can we, as marketers, help our prospective customers or customers to make the movie more real, if I made myself clear?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that you touched on a very important survival principle, which is ownership. We overvalue something that we own, and the evolutionary reason for this is before we were nomads. We didn't have a house. We didn't have a closet in the house. We didn't have a garage full of garbage that we can save. So we were just literally carrying everything we needed. So everything we carried had to have survival value. It could be a weapon. It could be clothes to protect us from the elements. It could be water or food. It could be our screaming baby that can't walk yet. But it was an energy trade-off. If you had to carry it, that means you're expending energy to maintain it. And it better be very powerful in terms of survival. So we overvalue things that we own. And now, even though we can own a lot of things and we have the room to store them and everything, we still overvalue it. So one of the things as marketers we can do is make you feel a sense of ownership. And so your car example was perfect. If you're thinking about buying a new car, you come to the dealer and you say, hey, this one looks pretty good. The first thing they're going to say, hey, let's take it for a test drive. Because you're trying it on for size. You're trying to see what the experience it would be like, the enjoyment of driving that car, every little detail of it. And so anything you can do to customize it, let somebody try it for free, experience it, that will make them feel attached to it and value it a lot. And that will increase the chances of them buying it.
Perfect. Because it's important, this thing, when we think about buying. And other thing which for me it's interesting in the behavioral point of view, which is when we try to convince someone. For instance, when we are a seller, and sellers usually make this mistake. I'm talking with you, Tim, and you are about to buy the car A, and I sell the car B, which is from a competitor from car A, right? And
Yes.
I'm a seller, and you say, "Oh, Marco, yeah, I like your car, yes, but I'm thinking about the car B." And basic instinct from a seller, "Oh, car A has this problem and this and this and this." And what mostly of the times I'm doing this, it's avoiding you to buying car B and give you more reasons to buy car A, even though
Yes.
I'm right.
Yeah. So I think a mistake a lot of marketers make is they try to say, whatever I have is great. So they're trying to be very, very positive. If you do this, you'll have, whiter teeth, and you'll be more attractive, and people will like you, and you'll, find great mates, and life will be wonderful. So they're selling happiness. The problem is our brain is not designed for happiness. It gives us little chemical payoffs for happiness to keep us motivated to get to our goals. But really, our brain is more tuned to danger and fear and loss, anything that impacts our survival. So the brain is scanning for danger all the time. That's just how it's designed. So you should focus on the negative. When you work out, there's this motto that people say in the gym: no pain, no gain. In other words, if you don't work hard, it won't improve. But that's also true of marketing. If there's no pain, then I don't value the getting rid of that pain. So the first thing we have to do as marketers is to create pain. You have to start by saying, "Hey, do you have this problem?" "Yeah." "And how bad is it?" "Oh, by the way, did you think about all of these implications of that problem? It's a lot worse than you think." Basically, you have to do something about it to make this pain go away, because otherwise our brain is just going to conserve energy and do nothing. That's the default. This is what we call the status quo bias. It just don't expend any energy, don't think, don't change your path. So if you're a marketer, you have two ways to influence someone: with upside or with pain. And you should work on the pain, amplifying the pain, because it's twice as powerful, about 2 to 2.5 times as powerful as talking about happy stuff.
Absolutely. And I have this testimonial about it. Evandro says some dealership often let the clients take the car for the weekend so they can really experience ownership, right?
Yes, yeah. So again, that really gives you a sense of ownership. Or there are these online mattress companies in the US, sleep on it for 90 days. If you don't like it, bring it back. Well, imagine sleeping on it for 90 days. What did you do with your old mattress? You put it up against the wall of your bedroom, and it's really crowded in there. And you like this new mattress, and it smells good, unlike your old mattress, and it's comfortable. About a week later, you're just going to throw out your old mattress, and that's it. So longer trials, longer experiences of ownership are actually a good way to lock in that loyalty and have someone buy.
Absolutely. Well, about these negative impacts we have, I have this story. It's a real story. I had an experience. It was about 6 years ago or something. I had to buy a new laptop. Okay. And then I was seeing a kind of catalog or something from a store, and they have this computer with a 200 euros discount. And I say, "Oh, great deal for me." Okay, so I went to the store. Well, some issues appeared, but finally I bought the PC with a discount. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was that I had a 15 inches bag, and this was a 15.6 inch computer. So
It didn't fit in your bag.
I had to buy a new bag. Okay, I went to other store and I saw this bag. Okay, I like it. Let me buy it. And this, I think it was 29 euros the bag. It was good. And I think it was about 2 weeks after, 1 month after, I went to the same store just to take a look, and I saw the same bag with a 10 euros discount. And I felt so bad but so bad. But then I stopped and I say, "Hey, wait. So you saved 200 euros
Yes,
on
on
the
the
computer,
computer.
and
Yeah.
you unsave
Unsaved 10 euros.
10.
Yeah, so this is a very important point also that we don't make economically objective decisions. If I say to you, you know, you can save 10% on buying the car versus half price on buying the warranty for the car, they're proportions, yes, and 50% is higher than 10%, but they're proportions of different things, and we always compare things to the context around it. So that's why anchoring is very important. If I set a really, really high price, you should always have a reference point in the lobby of your experience before you ask me to make the decision that's very high price, and then that makes anything that comes after it seem less expensive. So if people ask me about my digital marketing consulting services, I say, well, it's a real bargain. I mean, I charge well under $1 million, and we all have a good laugh, but I'm serious because I put that $1 million number in their head. So when I only charge them $100,000, it seems like a bargain. So anchoring is very important. We only compare to not objectively, not if we could shop everywhere online and find the cheapest price. We don't have time to do that kind of stuff. We just make a local decision. And in that local decision, you should have expensive stuff to influence me.
Absolutely. Well, Diogo talks about, puts a nice topic also in the conversation. Booking.com does a really well using fear of missing out, which is something, scarcity and social proof. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts on this, Tim? Please?
Yeah, again, from an evolutionary standpoint, because in my book, I kind of say everything that we do is based on how we evolved and why our brains evolved. So fear of missing out. Well, let's take again the example of our great grandfather who was walking around in East Africa and he finds this sharp rock. Okay, and you can use it to skin animals or to cut his food, and it might be useful. But now I have to decide: do I carry that rock with me? Maybe I go down the street, the road, down 10 minutes away, and there's a whole field of these sharp rocks, and I didn't need to carry it. Or maybe I'm going to go into the desert and there are no other sharp rocks around forever. And so I'm going to need that tool. And so these decisions, again, had strong survival implications. And so fear of missing out is, will this resource be scarce in the future or will it be commonly available? So, and if I'm in the desert and I see a tiny little small green plant and I'm thirsty, I'm going to look for that as a source of water and I'll pay attention to that. If, on the other hand, I live next to a river and I can just drink water anytime I want to, the availability of water isn't even going to get my attention because it's so commonly available in the environment. So we look for signs like scarcity or missing out on resources because, again, they have survival value. And that's why only 3 left, or you have only 10 minutes to act, and then this offer goes away. You've seen all that on TV infomercials. That's why it works. Because we don't know if we'll ever see the opportunity again.
Yeah, so, and even though we don't need it right now, who knows if I will need it tomorrow?
That's right. And we always have the room in the closet or the garage to store all of this crap so we can buy it.
So does this be a good reason to use, for instance, remarketing?
Well, remarketing is basically, I see it as an amplifier on the marketing dollars you spent. Someone already came to your site, and I look at remarketing as more of a reminder to keep you in their mind. So if I was on your website and I was shopping for something and then I left your website, a half hour later, I'm not thinking about it anymore. I have other survival goals that I'm paying attention to. So if I see an advertisement for your same product, it just makes me think about it again. So it's not so much about the fear of missing out. It's about reactivating that goal and making me focus on that goal-seeking behavior again.
Okay, perfect. I have something I have lots of things to ask you, but this one on the marketing perspective, it's also very important, which is comparing. Uh,
Yes.
we go to we want to buy a TV set, okay, and what we compare? We compare image quality. We have this one which has an amazing sharp image, which costs 2,000 euros, but on the very next side, we have this with 3,000, but it has a little bit sharper image, and we say, "Oh my God, that one has the image! Oh my God!" And how could this compare? Because we are
Yeah.
comparing
So
all the
again,
time.
we're comparing to local choices. So it's really important about the context of the choice. So there's some key things here. One is we can only consider 3 or 4 items at a time in short-term memory. Okay. So if you have a wall of televisions that you're expected to select from, that's too much. Okay. You should kind of, if I was in the store and I was creating the experience, I'd say, okay, here's all the televisions of one size, here's the next bigger size, here's the next bigger size. So first I'd have you pick the size you want. And then I would only have 3 or 4 choices within each size. And then you could look at them and compare choices. So the amount of choice is important. You can't overwhelm or have too much choice. So no more than 4 items to compare. That's very important. And then the other thing that you want to do is there's going to be a lot of things that these televisions have in common. So their size, for example, or the fact that they're all flat, or you can hang them on the wall. Those are all common features. So you have to actively differentiate them by saying what's unique about them. Okay, this one includes an extended warranty. This one has better image quality, or this one is more reliable. Okay, so you actually have to highlight the differences. Don't talk about the things that they all have in common. Highlight the differences to help me make the choice.
Okay, that's perfect, because we are comparing all the time. For instance, on TV sets, usually we compare the image, but for instance, in wines, because we can't compare flavors, it's mostly about price. How do you recommend for us to use, for instance, with this kind of things which we cannot compare? Properly features, if I made myself clear.
Yes, yes.
How can we as marketers make things to sell what we want to sell? If I made myself clear.
So you have a great thing, which is like the bottle of wine. You can't open it, you can't experience it until after you buy it. It doesn't have any objective features. So this is where social proof comes in and becomes even more important. So all of the wine spectator or the rating guides, or it won a gold medal in some competition, that's when that becomes important. Or it's the bestseller, or just the opposite, it's limited edition and there's only 500 bottles of this ever made, the scarcity. So we use other criteria. And we also look to our social circle. So what are our friends drinking? And so again, it's important to have the context for the decision and to anchor it properly. So when you go to a business dinner before COVID, when we could all go out to dinner, and you look at the wine list, and there's that Chateaubriand, whatever, some kind of really good French wine, and it's 500 euro. Okay, well, you're not going to buy that, but that's why they put it at the top of the list. It's expensive. Then the next one is 70 euro. And the next one is 25 euro. You don't want to be the cheapskate, so you're not going to buy the 25 euro one. You're going to impress your business guests, so you buy the 70 euro one. And that's the one they wanted you to buy. They don't expect you to buy the 500 euro bottle. That's there to just calibrate you and to anchor the price point with something much more expensive. It's like Apple had a gold Apple iWatch for a while, literally gold, and it cost $10,000. No, and they only sold a few thousand of them. I mean, and this is for $1 billion product, the iWatch. They didn't expect any idiot to actually buy that gold watch, although a few thousand did.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were just trying to say that compared to that $10,000, the $999 regular iWatch is cheap. So it's really, really important to do that. And as a result, when the iWatch launched, they sold more revenue in the iWatch than the whole Swiss watchmaking industry combined.
Oh my God!
Anchoring is very important.
Well, absolutely, because that's how it works. We see mostly on winery. It's a good example when you put that so expensive item, and then some of them more cheaper. So
Yes. So this is an important point. A lot of us, if we have three different products, say we have the bronze, silver, and gold, and that's the order that we put them into, the increasing price order. That's the wrong thing to do. You should always do decreasing price order. Start with your most expensive and then go down in price from there.
yeah, absolutely.
Because again, the most expensive, the first thing we see is what we anchor on. If I say, okay, here's a €1 item. Okay, here's a €2 item. Now it's more financial pain for me. Now I have to justify spending the extra money or losing that financial resource. But if you say €100 and then €1, it seems really inexpensive.
Absolutely. So you think we should apply the same principle, for instance, because when you mostly on digital product services, we see this table of prices, and usually it's go to from the cheapest to the highest.
It's always wrong. It's always backwards.
Okay.
It should be from the highest to the lowest every time.
Okay, that's and usually usually the best option, it's on the middle.
Well,
yes.
you get to define the best option. And what I'm saying is, if you really want me to buy your expensive product, the one that is most popular and makes you the most margin, you should make another product that's even more exclusive, that costs 2 times as much or 5 times as much. So create a fake product, a decoy that you don't want me to buy. But if I do, it's okay because you'll make a lot of money. But it's there for anchoring purposes. So create a big anchor.
Okay. It makes sense. Perfect. So, no. By the way, if you are watching, please let us know. Usually, you make more rational or emotional decisions.
Well, as I already said, there's no such thing as a rational decision. They're all emotional. And then we justify it later after we make the decision. But you can see this on brain scans. Certain areas of the brain light up then with some time delay, other areas light up to explain the decision. But the decision has already been made in your subconscious. And please keep the questions coming. Type in your comments and questions.
Absolutely. Well, there's this other situation, Tim. Let me explain. One of the things, and this could be a little bit manipulation. You can because there are some brands and professionals who do this, and because by these days all these things, how the brain works, are so studied that we know a lot of things. And okay, maybe it's easier or not today to sell something, okay, and to sell something, for instance, high priced, okay, but how can we avoid this regret after selling something, because we touch so many emotional points in the customer that he or she wants to buy, but then when he comes back to earth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He won't regret it.
Well, I don't think that you can get rid of buyer's remorse or regret, because I think that, again, our brain is going to say, okay, that was good, but what's my current environment? Like you said, when you went to buy that computer bag and you found it was discounted, then you felt bad for buying it at full price. That's never going to go away. So I think that you can't design something for avoiding regret. So I don't think that should be a goal of sales or marketing.
Well, maybe to think about service, because I think you can share your thoughts on this, because there's one thing yesterday, for instance, I've talked to a friend about this situation. I think there's a huge amount of professionals on marketing field which talk mostly in a perspective of getting new customers, because we see talking about SEO, about
about driving traffic and
yeah.
customer acquisition, return on ad spend. Yeah, a lot of activities are focused on the front of the funnel.
Yeah, absolutely. But we see a few people and few conversations about how can you, as you are listening to me, how can you to improve loyalty, not based on more techie things, if you know what I mean, because there's these automations, okay, and then you send the product, and I see so few things talking. For instance, how can you?
Okay, so this is an important topic. So it's very high cost to get a new customer or client. It's much lower cost and much better value to maintain an existing one. So some ideas along that is if you have some kind of service or you want to show and externalize the value of it. So for example, you might have software for backing up your computer. Well, most talk about like, hey, your backup just happened. They don't say that. They just back it up and they say it seamlessly backs everything up. You should do just the opposite. You should say, your backup just happened and we backed up 20,000 files, and that includes 1,700 pictures and 100 videos. And you're basically telling me how hard you're working behind the scenes. So externalizing the activity reminds me that the service is being used and I get value out of it. And when I think about a computer backup, I think of all of my pictures of my kids and all those videos that I want to save and why I'm backing it up. So always externalize the effect of your product or service and report on it so that it keeps it fresh in my mind, especially if it's a subscription-based service, so I remember what the value is for. Another tip is that you should if somebody tries to cancel a product or service, you should have a downsell. Don't just let them walk away and get unhappy. Say, oh, great. Okay, well, it sounds like that plan isn't right for you. What about stepping down to this other plan? So have a loss prevention program, not just a customer acquisition program too.
Absolutely. Well, we have another so good question here from Vishal. I think it's the right way to say it. Please share tips to sell my skills during job compensation negotiation.
Okay. Well, if you want the best book on negotiating I've read, and I mentioned it in my book, you can go to primalbrain.com. I have a recommended reading section. Is called Never Split the Difference, and by a guy named Chris Voss, and he was the head hostage negotiator for the FBI. So he's been in some pretty high stakes negotiations, and this is the stuff that actually works. So before you go to your next job interview, read that book, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. But one of the things that, again, I would say, is in effect, you do a threat of leaving the company, and you do it subtly, and you say, yeah, just like, I just want to make sure that, you understand, the work I'm doing. If I was gone tomorrow, you see how I'm activating fear and loss already? If I was gone tomorrow, what would your life be like? What would you have to do to make up for me not being here? Oh, you'd have to do this work. And you'd have to interview people and you'd have to hire people. So you basically make them focus on the fear and the loss avoidance, which is a better motivator. And you say, I want to stay here. I want to progress. I want to grow in my career. I want to take on more responsibility. But you don't start with that. You start with having them imagine, if you had to replace me tomorrow, what would you have to do? And that makes them imagine all of those bad consequences and the value that you bring. Or another thing is, and that I use in pricing negotiation, is to say something like this. If somebody says, oh, Tim, it's like you charge $1,000 an hour to consult. And my answer is yes. Why do you think people pay me that much? You see what I just did there? I'm having you answer the question. I'm having you create the value. I'm having you justify why I'm worth the money. And the important thing at that point is to shut up, to not say anything. Why do you think people pay me that much? and let them say the next words. And if they do, you're going to be on the better off in that negotiation.
Well, mind blowing. Well, because that's, again, I think when you know which the person which is on the other side, I think it's better for you and to make this emotional arguing more insightful, more with better results, right?
Yes, always focus on the emotion and you win the argument. There's another book for high stakes negotiation, Oren Klaff's book. I'm blanking on the name right now. But he basically talks about different frames and that frames collide. And so if someone comes at you with the analyst frame and wants to talk logic and numbers, you interrupt their frame and you take it over and you say, let me tell you a story and then we'll get back to that. For example, and then you reassert the dominance by having another frame in the conversation. So don't always argue on the terms that the other person is negotiating on. So if they're being logical, definitely don't argue with them on logic. Change the conversation. It's like judo, take their legs out from under them and throw them.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. Perfect. Well, Tim, we are coming to almost to the end of the show. Don't forget, I have here, if you want to know more about Tim's book, please follow this link. I put it also. Yes.
And the book is available everywhere as an ebook and an audiobook, which I narrated myself. And then it's not launching till next April in paperback, but if you want to get autographed pre-release copies of it, that's available through the website. So all the information on where to buy it is at primalbrain.com, as Marco is showing on the screen right now.
And also on comments. So, Tim, we are almost reaching the end, but I can't let you go without asking you the guest suggestions. Let me put the intro, I think. There you go. So, as usual, Tim, I ask my guests to leave some suggestions, which are a professional, a kind of shout out, a book, a tool, a habit, a movie, and a TV show.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so give them to me one at a time.
Okay, no problem. A shout out, a professional. Which we should follow.
Robert Cialdini. He's
okay.
He's been a professional crush of mine for a long time. He was kind enough to blurb my book, and he's the guy on persuasion.
Absolutely, it's very good. A book.
Book. I'm sorry, I have to plug my own book, but also not just because I wrote it, but because it's a really good book. This helps you in business, in relationships, in personal development. It's basically the operating system for our brain and why we evolved to act the way that we do. So pick up a copy, primalbrain.com.
Perfect. A habit.
A habit, get enough sleep, 7 to 9 hours of sleep, non-negotiable for me. I don't care if my teenage kids stay up. I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock because my body wakes me up at 6.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. So 2 habits you told: sleep and get up soon.
Well, I don't get up early, but intentionally, I get up early because my body just wakes me up.
Okay, perfect. A tool.
I really love this plugin for web browsers called Crystal. Crystal Knows is the website. Basically, when you look at someone's LinkedIn profile, it pulls up a sidebar that tells you their personality type and how to interact with them. So if you're working a lot with strangers or people that you don't understand, I strongly suggest you get this plugin. It's amazing. All it does is scrape their profile, and then it tells you what their personality is and how to interact with them.
It's a kind of Chrome extension?
Yeah.
Okay, I will take a look.
It works with Gmail as well, but I use it primarily as a sidebar on my LinkedIn because I interact with a lot of people.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. A movie.
A movie. I love Saving Private Ryan. I like a lot
Oh,
of heroic movies and overcoming adversity. That one was really well made.
perfect. Yeah, yeah. It was an amazing movie. Yes, and a TV show.
TV show. I'm afraid that if the reality of the world isn't bad enough for you, on Hulu, there's a great show called The Handmaid's Tale, and I'm still
Okay.
waiting for the next season to come out. It's about this dystopian future, which is looking much more like our current reality. That's all I'm going to say.
Perfect. Well, Tim, it was amazing. I think this Philip is saying he tells the personality. Oh my
Yes, it's amazing. So the plugin is called Crystal. The website is crystalknows, KNOWS.com.
Okay, perfect. I think this comment from Philip, it's good to wrap up all the show. Oh my God, it's showing really good tips. It's just one after the other. I have to rewatch it. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Felipe. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, team. Thank you so much to all of you who were watching this show and commenting. If you are watching the replay, please don't be shy. If you have something to ask, if you have something to ask or comment, please drop it on comments. Tag Tim so he can know that you are asking something. Let me put again on screen the link for you to find more information about Tim's book. I think on your personal website you have the other books, right, Tim?
Yes, absolutely. And so the timash.com is about my keynote speaking, digital marketing consulting services primarily. And the book site is primalbrain.com.
Okay, so the best place to find you, it's
On LinkedIn, I'm very easy to find. Just Tim
okay.
Ash.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you like it as much as I did because it was a very insightful conversation. Thank you, Tim. We'll see soon. Bye-bye.